Know this. Introducing the original Blood Clot podcast, not players. Soothing semantic. Special dedication. All the way from New York. Boom. Yeah, man. SWOT semantic. Yeah, me know. Boom. Soothing semantic. Yeah, me know. Big ups to the man now. Soothing semantic.
Welcome to another episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. I am your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, like, share with your friends, your dog, your puppy. Dog and puppy is the same shit. Subscribe, comment, and here we are. Okay. Today we have Mike Suissa on the show. Okay, Mike is a Canadian. Another Canadian. By the way, I've been having a lot of Canadians lately.
Really?
Yeah. You're the fourth straight Canadian.
The fourth?
The fourth.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess I have something for Canada. But that's, I mean, other than going into the whole COVID thing, because I've been discussing it with a couple of the people that I just had on recently. Mm-hmm. It's wild, dude. Like with the truckers now.
Yeah. Unbelievable. What's going on? People are losing trust. Some people are losing trust.
Well, do you think the whole truck thing actually did anything?
I think these things don't work. I think it's a big media frenzy. I think that people are using it for their own advantage, obviously, but I think ultimately these protests, which are really just peaceful protests, right, don't really work for their objective, which is to usurp the government, right? You just can't do that. Mm-hmm. The things that do work, it's pretty extreme. It's, guns and blowing up buildings. Or just don't vote for the guy in the first place, right?
Yeah, it's crazy that the violent protests work as much as we don't want to admit it. Mm-hmm. They work, man. I mean, if we talk about, and I don't want to get into go into a rabbit hole because I do want to discuss some of the things we talked about, all the things we talked about. Mm-hmm. When you talk about, for instance, the Palestinians and Israelis, like the Palestinians get a lot of what they want because of the violence. And at the end of the day, Israel's not going to allow a lot of it. They shouldn't, but it is what it is. I mean, that's how things work. Absolutely. When you show enough strength, you're either going to get more violence in return, or people are going to realize or feel that your struggle is so bad, you're willing to go to those lengths to do something. Maybe they'll give you a little bit of leeway. Yeah. But if you just hold up signs and say, "Come on, guys," nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. People were trying to do protests in Montreal when Legault, the PM or the governor, if you want, of Quebec, he put a curfew. 7 p.m. we had to be home. And people just said, oh, we're going to break the curfew. At 7 p.m. we're going to meet downtown in the middle, biggest area. And they were just holding signs. And it's like they went for a walk. And the PM was just making fun of them.
He was making fun of them.
The next day, he's just like, all right, well, we gave $250,000 worth of tickets. So thank you, and he was kind of like, he's like, you're allowed to have your voices heard, but, we're not
going to listen to you.
Curfews.
Right.
And that was it.
Right. So. Well, that's why they say Canadians are too nice.
Yeah.
I mean, America put up with it for a long time. At this point, if they lock down Florida again, I don't think people will start destroying things, but quite frankly, I just don't think Floridians would listen to it.
No.
They just won't give two fucks. Like for me now, it was funny. I was in the elevator yesterday morning, and there was this Spanish couple in the elevator. The husband didn't say a word. The wife figured I didn't speak Spanish, or she just didn't care. But I think she was hoping I didn't. And I don't know for a fact she was talking about me, but she kept saying like "estúpido" and something about like she said "corona." And she seemed very upset. And I think she was pretty much saying to her husband in front of me that I was stupid for not wearing a mask or something along those lines. Oh. And part of me was saying like, are you talking about me? And she'd probably say yes. And hopefully if she had the ball, she would say it. I'd be like, lady, you do you, I do me. But in my head, I was like, it's better that I just make believe I don't know what she's saying. You know what I'm saying? Just let it go. What the hell's the point of starting something that doesn't need to be started? Her husband, I looked at both of them. And then I just looked away, and I saw her husband kind of like looking at me totally innocently. He was like, "It's not my fight, like it's my crazy wife. Sorry,
for
bro."
Sure, she was talking about you. That's for
sure, right?
Yeah.
He gave me this look. He didn't put his hands up, but he was like,
"That's great.
It's great, right?" Yeah, because I think he realized she was being ridiculous too. But I don't know. I might be making up a whole story, but I have a feeling. You kind of just get that feeling, But now going into a whole nother topic. First off, I mean, you said computer science, right? And you said, and you also talk a lot about theology.
Yeah.
So a good topic to discuss. I don't know much about computer science. Theology is definitely a great topic. I was talking with my roommate Levi and his brother Shua yesterday about religion. And there are many aspects of religion I just don't buy. I just think are kind of just ridiculous. At the same time, the question for me is, do I believe in Judaism and discredit all the others? Or do I just believe in God? And for me, personally, my realization, this is what I've come to realize, and I think this is, if you think logically, if I was born a Muslim, I'd be Muslim. If I was born a Christian, a Hindu, I would be part of it, and that's the end of it.
Sure.
There are small select groups of every religion that convert to others. There are some atheists that become religious and vice versa. For the most part, when you grow up a certain way, you're programmed that way, and that's the way you think. There are incongruencies in every religion and every culture and every society, and we just say, fuck it. I won't even ask questions. It doesn't make sense, but I'd rather just not even go into it, right? And that's what most people do. Yeah. So for me, I'm a very big question asker. Things need to make sense for me. It's very hard for me to just accept as is. I'm always questioning. So when it comes to religion, I mean, if my feeling is if any monotheistic religion makes sense, I would think Judaism makes sense. It came first, the others adopted most of their principles, and I'm Jewish, so that's one of the reasons, but one of the main reasons. But yeah, and when it comes to the Abrahamic religions, to me, it's Judaism came first. The others were pretty much copycat Judaism, and that's for me what makes the most sense. But then again, there's too much complication in terms of what you can do, what you can't do, and I'm the kind of person that just, I don't like having too many rules. I think rules are great, but like when it comes to like, if it's Shabbat and I can't rip a piece of toilet paper to wipe my ass, I get a little bit, I'm not trying to make fun of it, but at the same time, just to me, it's kind of ridiculous.
The pre-ripped toilet paper is classic.
Yeah, like I just look at it and I'm thinking, I understand what you're doing. I respect that they're going the extra mile. I get their thought process. But I think for most people, it's so routine already, they don't put much thought into it. And when I look at it, I say, I don't know what God's thinking. I don't know if God thinks, per se. I don't know what she looks like. I have no idea. We just think, I imagine he looks like a guy with a bit of a pot belly in the clouds. Because that's what Family Guy decided. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And this is what we all think. We think he's this old man with white hair.
Yeah,
I think
white beard. And
right?
Since we're 3 years old.
If anyone thinks of what God is, we don't know maybe the color necessarily, but we think either white or brown with white hair. He looks like Santa, but he's God, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what we think.
Santa with a tan, like a Mediterranean tan, olive skin, you know, that vibe.
He has to be, right? Because it's like...
Of course.
But is God Jewish? Is he Muslim? And that's where all the shit's like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Of course.
So that's my take, man. I'm curious to hear yours.
A few questions. I mean, I want to backpedal a little bit. You seem to have certain issues, right? I'd like to address all of them just to see, you know, what we could get to, you know, ultimately. So there's a difference between having issues with, first of all, the concept of a God, regardless, right? Buddhists had a problem with that, therefore created this somewhat atheistic religion, right? There is no God in Buddhism, really. So if you have a problem with a God or a problem with the God of Israel, if you want, or the God of the children of Israel, so that God of the three monotheistic religions, or do you have a problem with organized religion, right? If yes, which one? And so maybe we can like talk about all of these things, and they all have different answers, and you can believe in a God without believing in the God of Israel, or you could believe in the God, you know. And
well, here's what it is for me, man. I think that human beings need something in order to stay sane. We need something to believe in that's bigger than ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we'll go to great lengths and we'll do stupid shit in order to stay sane. So we have to be. So gang members will join gangs. People will join religions. I believe in God. I have no absolute proof that he or it exists, because none of us do. And anyone who claims otherwise, quite frankly, I think is full of shit. I think we can to me, I don't believe in the Big Bang. I don't believe things just existed. I believe something was created, and therefore I believe in a higher power, which to me is God. So I choose to believe that. And it's also the idea when you're going through hardship, it's so much more comforting to be able to say, okay, there must be a higher power. These things are happening for some sort of reason. Do I know that's absolutely true? Do I know there's someone actually looking after me? Honestly, dude, I don't know, because the most terrible tragedies happen to people. People get run over by tractor trailers and just completely flattened. They're done. And it's like, was God looking after that dude? I mean, I don't really know. It's kind of hard to put that together. You feel me? Like the Holocaust, all these other tragedies. So it's very difficult to really dissect that and talk about it. For me, I feel like I would be very unhappy as an atheist. I just wouldn't really be able to find the beauty in things. There's so much beauty. I don't know enough about Christianity and Islam. Because Islam much more because I was in the army and I see how similar it is. But then again, all three are pretty similar. At the same time, I think it's just a nature and nurture thing. It's the way you're raised. I think that's what it is.
Well, I think that one of the greatest inventions ever is lying, right? And not lying to other people, because that's kind of messed up, right? You just kind of, warp this truth and then make them think that something is when it isn't, or vice versa. But lying to yourself is oftentimes a very good thing, very important to do that, because, anybody can beat himself down. Anybody can tell, oh, my life is void of any meaning. I'm an idiot. I'm underaccomplished. I look at my friends; they're doing so much better than me. I'm never going to make it. I'm lazy. I have all these. You can look at that, right? Or you can kind of lie to yourself and sell yourself to yourself, which is a lie, but it's a great thing to lie to yourself.
Lie. This is a beautiful. Right? It's so eloquent, so well said, so eloquently put. Yeah.
And this is something that seems to drive religious people. So nobody is sure 100% of anything, right? I think the agnostic route is the safest
Well, if we're talking
route.
religion, because you can definitely be sure of, there are things that are absolute facts, which we can't.
Not certain. There's a German philosopher who said that everything that's going on here is going on in the mind of a dog. You, me talking, this table, and it doesn't exist. And he said, well, prove me wrong. And it's messed up, and I think he knows how ridiculous his statement is.
Yeah, that's a complexity that I can't really understand. The computer exists; it's right in front of me. I'm looking at it. I don't see where you can really go and take that any further.
You perceive it as existing. That's it. That's your perception.
But who, if any human being that's living and has the ability to have a conversation, right? They're not autistic. They're not on the spectrum. They're not children. Any adult that is normal, has any normal mental capacity, would look at our conversation and say, yes, the computer is there, it exists, and we're looking at it. Yeah. I don't think anyone would argue that.
What do you classify as existing? How do you define existence? What is it?
That it's real. That it's easily proven to be real.
Matter that's occupying space. Is that it?
I like what you're doing. I just don't really. I'm trying to understand. I don't think you're doing anything. I'm just trying to understand what you're getting at.
So, the truth is, we have to build worlds in our minds. It seems like it's something so that we can get out of bed and we can do things, right? Because ultimately, we can. It sounds very negative, but life sucks on a fundamental level, right? You have to wake up and do things, and you have to work, and you have to make money, and you have to feed yourself, and you have to figure all these things out that are so against our natural laziness instinct, right?
Here's a caveat real quick, and please hold the thought.
Of course.
Back in the day, we were so much more similar to animals because all we really did was go to the bathroom, make children, hunt, eat, all that. We didn't have all these modern day distractions. Mm-hmm. The reason why we aren't slaughtering each other constantly is because we've preoccupied ourselves with things that either matter or don't matter. It's all relative. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do now. So now we have these ridiculous, silly little problems in first world countries because we have to be busy with something, and that I think goes into what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, so I'll ask you, why are we here? What do we have? What's our purpose in life? What do we have to do? Right? So scientists pretty much broke it down to surviving. Everything we do, the reason for doing whatever we do is to survive, right? Why do we have sex? To survive, to pass on our genes. Why do we eat? Well, to survive. Why do we get an education? Well, so that we can get a job and make money and survive.
Well, there's also enjoyment in all those things too. It's not just for the primary reason of surviving.
Yeah, of course. So why do you enjoy things? Why do you feel the need to enjoy things? That's a very good question. This was my next point. Right. It's that we have to create ourselves worlds. We have to create worlds for ourselves that are going to act kind of like distractions, right? This is why there are many antidepressants that when people take them, they get them prescribed, they take them, and one of the side effects, very unfortunate, is suicide. Because what it does is kind of, it can take away the layers, right, that are distracting us.
I love that you're saying this. This is why I thank God I'm not a depressed person.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had anxiety. We all get anxious, but I've never had any kind of panic attack. So I have a very hard time grasping when people say, I have like crippling anxiety. Yeah. It sounds very ignorant because some people are so offended, but I feel like when it comes to anxiety, it's generally a fear, right? And if you're an extremely anxious person, you likely have many fears. And when you're depressed, I find that you're simply very unhappy with either a circumstance or the overall picture. Yeah. And that requires, you mentioned layers. Everyone knows more or less. Some people are are really not very self-aware. I think the large majority of people deep down, whether they want to admit it or not, know what they need to do, what they need to work on. But the more they prolong the inevitable, the more issues pile up and the harder it gets. Yeah. And what happens is that depression eats them alive. Of course. And they go to bed. If they can sleep, they wake up in the morning and there are 579 things that they know they need to fix. But it's so crippling because they don't know where to start. And at the end of the day, it's going to be hard if you fix it, and it's going to be hard if you don't fix it. Choose your hard, because not fixing it is a hell of a lot harder. So it's easier said than done, but how I look at life is you're always going to have issues. No matter how incredible your life is, you can have all the money in the world, the most beautiful wife or husband, you can have an incredible body, you can live in a beautiful place. I can go on forever. But the more you focus on solving problems, and I don't like to look at life as, let me focus on solving problems, because that can sound pessimistic, but you try to eliminate the negatives as much as you can so you can live your best possible version of yourself. And that's going to require you to look at life every day and dissect your everyday life, because every single day has a multitude of decisions. You're constantly making decisions. Right now, we're choosing to make decisions every millisecond, essentially. And the decisions you make shape you. So I look at it as, if I know I need to go and ship that thing to UPS, let me go do it now so I don't have to do it. So I don't have to think about it. I have to send out that ad. I have to call that client, whatever it is. I like to set up, more important things earlier, less important things later, hopefully delegate the less important tasks. I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but the more you focus on eliminating difficulty in your life, I mean, you're always going to have problems, but some people have 10 issues, some people have 10,000. And I know for a fact, I am very confident that people with 10 issues are a lot more content than people with 10,000. And that's what I think life is. That's why I think so many people are so unhappy, is because they're not willing to work. Like, God made the world in a way where if you're willing to work hard, that's the paradox, the catch-22 of life. The harder you're willing to work at anything, relationships, business, physical fitness, mental health, the happier you'll be. That's how God made the world. And he made it in an unfair way, but in a sense it's fair as well. If you want the sweetest fruits of life, you have to be willing to kind of suffer through the shitty parts. And I think I've found that to be a beautiful thing, but going through it sucks. Getting to the other side is the most blissful thing in the world. But very few people are willing to agonize themselves enough to get to the other side of the wall.
Mm-hmm. There's so much to unpack.
Dude, I love these talks, man. I love these conversations.
Yeah, for sure. Getting to the other side is something, but I truly believe that to be able to get to the other side, you're gonna have to pretty much oversell yourself along the way, right? So you're gonna have to say, I can do this, even though you don't really believe that you can, right? people told you were dumb your whole life and you were like bottom of your class and you don't know why, you don't understand math and you don't understand science, but you want to become a doctor. And you have to just be that little train who says, I think I can, I really think I can. And I think that people say that with a lot of doubt. They're like, I think I can, I think I can, I can do this, I can do that. And those are the only ones who get there, right?
100%.
So you have to create these worlds in your head and you have to lie to yourself constantly. And to tie this back to religion, it's that, well, people don't have anything better, so they're going to say, well, I'm going to lie to myself, regardless of the existence of God. I mean, this
Absolutely.
is a very medieval conversation that we
true.
can have, for sure. But regardless, they're going to say, well, you know what? Someone passed away. He's in a better place. There is life after death. God has his reasons, works in mystery, all the age-old cliches. By the way, I love cliches because they're great. They made it this far. Right? They've existed for 10,000 years. Right. This is amazing. Hard work pays off. It's such a great, but for sure, it's like what you said. It's true. Right. And so people will create these worlds and create these, we'll call them lies, but they're happy. What are you going to come and bombard them with the truth? Sometimes the truth sucks. And it's good to say the truth to other people, but to yourself, by all means, lie away. I don't know.
I completely agree. I don't like the concept of faking it till you make it is a very interesting concept. I like to look at it as exactly what you said. I look at it as when I wake. So I'll give you a very raw discussion. I'm saying this in front of whoever's listening. And it's funny. I just thought about that for a second. I said, whoever's listening, a fuck ton of people are listening. See me?
I'm into that.
You feel me?
That's great.
So that's just the manifestation of it, even though the podcast is small.
Exactly.
So it's the idea. It's the idea for me. For instance, as a realtor now, right? I had a very good first year. Now I'm a couple of months into my second. I've had the last 2 months were tough, and I have a lot of clients that I'm building. I make phone calls every day. I'm doing a lot of things, like anyone that sees me in the office, I'm always there. I'm always working, right? And then I see other people in the office, they're closing deals, they have stuff that they're moving, and it's like, fuck, what am I doing wrong? It bothers me. And I have two options. I can either go to bed at night, wake up at 11 o'clock, sulk in bed, feel like an idiot, or I can get up, go to the gym early in the morning and get to it. And there's absolutely no debate in my mind in which option I'm going to take. Because sitting in bed and feeling sorry for myself sure as hell isn't going to do anything. And I know that at the end of the day, even though I have my doubts, my brain tells me, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that. The good parts of the brain that are telling me I'm amazing at it, take precedence and take control. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. You have to lie to yourself because there's no guarantee. There's absolutely no guarantee. But at the same time, like I've seen and this is me telling myself, comforting myself with you sitting here is what's happening, right? And knowing how far I've come since I was younger until now to be at this point, even if there are some parts that are tough in my life right now, if I knew that I was able to overcome those challenges up until now, those same principles apply. And there are so many things that I can say that I've gone through that I've been able to figure out and sort out. It's no different with anything else. It just has to be something I'm willing to go through long enough to see the fruits of my labor, and then you build momentum on that thing.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that we live in a world where we're just surrounded by formulas, right? You want to become a great musician, like you want to become Justin Bieber, just kind of do what he did. I mean, yes, there is some luck involved, of course. You might not be worth $300 million at 22 years old. Right. I get it, that's fine. But replicate. You see a millionaire that you admire, you just do exactly what he did. And there is no reason why you wouldn't at least get really fucking close.
Yeah.
And just look at him. What did he do? Well, he opened a little dépanneur. What do you guys call that?
Are you talking about like a little like a store?
No, a little shop where they sell candies and what do they call it?
We call this a deli. We call that a deli.
A deli. Okay.
A bodega in New York.
Bodega. Okay, I like that word. Bodega. That's
Bodega.
good. So you see that the guy is worth $9 million. He's 52 years old. Well, what did he do? Well, he went to New York and had like $15 in his pocket and then worked at a bodega and learned the business. And he worked for 5 years, put money aside. He lived like with his brother and sister and all of their kids in a 2-bedroom, and they stashed money. And then he opened one little bodega and then a second one and a third one and then opened a shop. And then things just got bigger. And then in 32 years, the guy's worth $8-9 million. And there's no reason why that would work for him and not you. Right? There is a formula for anything, and you want to see happiness. I was going through a difficult time in my life at some point, and I said, who are the masters of happiness? And it's personal and it's close to me. So the Chabads, right? They're great. I mean, they're just always happy. They're always smiling. They're always like, l'chaim, and Fabrengen and this and that. And amazing. And so I started reading up on the Chabad philosophies, right? The Rebbe's philosophies, even though I'm not Chabad. I don't really. It doesn't really speak to me on another level other than being happy. I find that they have mastered the psychology of happiness. So I kind of just looked at what they did and said, I have to replicate this because they found a way to pretty much live in bliss most of the time. It's unbelievable, regardless of what's going on in their lives.
Chabad people, Chabad Jews are my favorite, honestly.
They're the best.
They're the best.
They're the best.
They make Judaism. So if anybody brings me to Judaism, it's Chabad.
Yeah.
Anybody.
If we ever get to Mars and there are Martians there and there's one Chabad rabbi, they're all going to become Chabad. For sure. For sure. I mean, they're going to be like,
there will absolutely be a Chabad house on Mars. There probably already is one.
Yeah, for sure. They're waiting for us.
Absolutely.
It's like, where were you? You come to David. You have to.
You see Mendy there drunk.
Exactly.
Hey guys, that's so nice of you to show up, dude. I've been here for 20 fucking years, man. I've been waiting for you. Yeah. He gives us a big hug. He pours booze in our mouth.
Vodka's like ready to go. Exactly. Amazing. And they're like everywhere. And what's interesting about them, I don't get it. It's that they always have a New Yorker accent. It's like, hey, it's so good to see you. It's amazing. It's good. Thank God. It's like, where are you from? He's like, I'm from Germany. You're like, why do you speak like a guy from Brooklyn? No matter where he's from in the world, they all speak like New Yorkers. And it's like a world, a global hub, for any Jew or, even non-Jews that can just go and be part of something.
What do you think? So what do you think are some of the biggest reasons why you think they're so happy?
I think that it would come back to our discussion. They seem to have like 2-3 big tenets that are unique to them, because Jews share a lot of the same philosophies and halachas and all these things, but they have a few tenets that are interesting and unique to them. So one of them is that thing that their purpose of life, right, is directed towards one thing. Because sure, science kind of bottlenecks it down to survival, right? Mm-hmm. Which is fine, but they say no. There's something else. There has to be something else, and they truly believe that their purpose is to serve God in a very happy manner. This is pretty much Chassidut in all of its glory. It's like Rabbi Nachman said. Ivdu et Hashem besimcha.
Also, try to keep this in mind. There are non-Jewish listeners, so try to translate.
So I'll translate some things.
Okay. Baby things down. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll cut that out. So, okay, so pretty much
keep it in.
Yeah. Okay. So there's
There it is.
Hasidism is pretty much a big sect in Judaism they hail from Ukraine and Russia, pretty much. And they're very much based on happiness. So they're very much based on serving God in total and utter joy, because they see God as a father. And they'll say, well, wouldn't your father want you to be happy with everything that you're doing? Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't want you to do things and be miserable. He doesn't want you to do things and sulk about it. He wants you to be happy. So the things that you're doing, do them with a smile. And it gives you that extra little, shot of gasoline to be able to really be happy while you're doing these things, right? So this is one of their tenets that's very unique to them, and it's that ultimate joy while doing the things that, like you said, these restrictions and Shabbat, I can't turn on my phone. They're really happy not to do it. They find joy in not doing it. It's remarkable.
So in terms of finances, and my philosophy, largely being that I grew up without parents, there was no money in the family. My grandmother was really paycheck to paycheck for my entire childhood, teens. She really didn't have the funds to do anything more than the basic necessities, and she gave me, always had clean, good clothing, always had food in the fridge. Everything I needed was taken care of. She's an incredible woman is an understatement. Love her to death. We were extremely close. I always had a good relationship with her. I'm very blessed for that, because many people don't have that relationship with two parents. So extremely blessed for that. And she gave me an incredible life. I had a great childhood. We didn't have the money, but goes to show you, oftentimes the money is not the end all be all. With that said, as I've gotten older and I've worked since I was 15, I was a waiter for many years, and I was in college and the army and everything. I've really built a great work ethic for myself through trials and tribulations. And I've decided several years ago that for me it was very important to not just have money, but to be very, very, very comfortable. And I want to be wealthy. And that's largely for my own selfishness. It's largely because I want that power, and not in some tyrannical way, but I want to be able to do the things I want to do when I want to do them.
That's okay.
Yeah, and that for me, whether people
apologize for that.
I'm not apologizing for it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to justify, because it's okay to want these things,
right?
Right.
But I don't want it in a tyrannical way, though. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
No tyranny.
Right. That's
Absolutely
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to say. It's not apology. It's not apology. And at the end of the day, most people want that. Many people want.
People are afraid to publicly admit it because the rich guy is bad.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
We kind of have a tendency to want to shit on capitalism, but to reap all the fruits that it has to offer.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
They just love that.
They would love to be handed it all. They just don't want to work for it.
Of course. And it's like, you're just a bad person if you're poor, and if you're rich, sorry. And I don't understand that.
Doesn't make sense.
Because why?
It doesn't make sense.
Why?
Because it's a bitterness. It's a jealousy. So I am very much a follower of wealth. I would very much like to be wealthy, and that's a goal of mine. One of my biggest goals. I mean, anyone who knows me will tell you that. But I'm also realizing more and more as I'm getting older that I absolutely have to enjoy what I do day to day. Putting money before everything else is a terrible idea. So it's not, and I put money is a very important part of my life, but I want to be doing things that I enjoy that can make me a lot of money, right? Not just things that are completely out of my element that don't speak to me that make me money. So that's what I've really come to realize, and it makes me much happier. At the same time, going into relationships, I was in a relationship not too long ago, maybe going on a year and a half ago, or more than that at this point.
How long?
8-month relationship. Okay. And what that taught me at the end, I'm not going to go into the relationship itself, but what that really taught me was I need to be in a financial situation. The financial situation for me, I have my own definition of that. And I don't really care to go into it and have that whole conversation, but I have a certain idea of where I want to be before I go and take on a relationship. And the ultimate question here, I'm curious to hear your opinion, is do you feel that it's better to go and find somebody young, settle down and sort it out, or do you feel it's better to have some level of a foundation beforehand? Now, real quick beforehand, the caveat to that is being Jewish in a first world country, oftentimes there's generational wealth. So even many times not, but oftentimes yes.
Yeah.
So when you have that behind you and you have the familial support, you can go into a relationship more comfortably knowing that the wedding's going to be covered, the ring's going to be covered. If things absolutely go to shit financially, your parents they might not start handing you money, but God forbid, but when they pass, there might be some real estate property, there probably going to be some assets. And these are things that people, this at the end of the day. You're not, God forbid, hoping your parents are, you want them to live as long as possible, but there are certain comforts that many people, talking Jews specifically, many Jewish guys know that they have. Mm-hmm. And you can go and make certain decisions more easily because you have those luxuries. Whereas somebody like me, I don't have those. and I'm not okay. The biggest thing for me is I want to meet my future father-in-law, be able to look him in the eyes, shake his hand with a firm grip, and say, I've got this covered. Anything can happen going forward, but as of right now, and as of the foreseeable future, I'm very, very capable of taking care of your daughter and our children. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I need for my own self, for my own selfish reasons. I think it's a very good thing. I'm extremely convinced. I've convinced myself that it's a wonderful thing. And I think it sounds very mature. But I need that. And as much as I want to settle down right now, that's not what God gave me for whatever, the decisions I've made and all that. And I think I've made very good decisions. I, again, need to, because of my own upbringing, I need to have a certain level of a foundation before I go and do that. And that's what pushes me. That's what one of my biggest whys of why I work so hard is because I want that sooner than later. And man plans, God laughs. Who knows? Yeah, exactly. But that's the plan. So I want to hear what you think about this.
Well, so we're millennials, right? You're born post 83.
94.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So we're millennials, even though we don't really like to admit it, because there's all this stigma about how they. Yeah.
Sure.
We're growing up in a very difficult era, financially speaking. Sure, we have all these options and all these things and all this technology at the tip of our fingers, but it seems like we love having a lot of choice. It's something that's kind of ingrained in our generational DNA, or probably it could be also the societal upbringing that we had. So we like to have a lot of options, which is why, when I go for brunch, I like to take that plate that has the eggs and the toast and the potatoes and it comes with the coffee and the fruit bowl because I don't want to just have pancakes. I want to have all the options.
Israeli breakfast 101.
Yeah, exactly. So and it seems like in the 50s you could just, work for GM. You're like 18 years old. You work for GM in the factory. Every morning you put on your big Jack Daniels belt buckle, your Peterbilt cap.
Your Dick's pants.
Yeah,
if exactly. Dick's even existed. Your ugly ass Dick's sporting good pants.
With the police in front. And you just go to work and you work your 9 to 5, you get home, your wife is waiting for you with an apron. I know it's very Mad Men style, but it's because this is kind of how things worked. And you would just work your 9 to 5, put money aside, buy your house for $22K, you pay it off, you have this nuclear family thing going on, and as of 22, you can start to count on yourself to be able to provide for your wife and kids, right? Because houses were $22K, and or maybe less, I don't know.
But then you can go into the conversation of money just losing value, right? So it's all relative.
Sure, money lost value, but you would take someone's average salary at the time and you would take the average house price. For example, I don't know, 30 years ago, an electrician would make, let's say, $25K a year or $20K a year, and he could get a decent house for $60K. Now, an electrician makes $80K a year, $90K a year, and that same house is worth $750, $800K. So the difference, however you want to slice the pie, it's that the house is way less affordable now, right? And so now you want a 22-year-old to buy an $800,000 house. That's insane. It's impossible. It's unachievable, right? Okay, so I feel that in the olden days, in the 50s and the 60s, you could have this dream of a nuclear family where you're the man of the house and you take care of your wife and kids financially just by having this job. They would pull it off, man. Mm-hmm. They were pulling it off. And now it's things have gotten crazy. Yeah. You have to, first of all, you have to find a niche, right? And more, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, even a PhD is losing. There's been academic inflation. It's losing its value. More and more people are having it. And, KPMG ain't paying their accountants the shit tons of money that they were paying them before, because there are so many accountants that they're just knocking on their door and saying, I'll do the job for $20K less. Are you in? And they're like, yeah, I'm a business. Sure, I'll cut costs. Right. And then they're just, you're 45 years old and you're out of the job because they're hiring the 22-year-old who's actually going to do exactly what you do with fresher ideas.
Yeah, and that's the other problem. Older employees lose out because they want younger minds,
Yes.
less stubborn,
Yes.
more agreeable.
Yeah. Experience is no longer something that's
technology.
as valued as it used to be. Now we want that little 22-year-old tech genius, you know. So and this tech genius, he's really rare. He's like this guy who has been coding since he's 6 years old, right? And how many people do that? Not many. So we're living in difficult financial times, more difficult than our parents and grandparents, right? They had difficulties. They had other difficulties, I think. But finance was just like you would go find a job and then you could go through life and be all right. You know, now things have gotten tougher. And the toughest thing, I think, is finding your vector, finding your niche, finding your direction, right? Because we have so many options. We have the options to go to university and study whatever we want. We have the option to get a job, start an e-commerce, start any type of business. And it's so easy because, first of all, borrowing money is super easy. And getting an education is super accessible. So we have all these options. And the problem is we have too many options. So it's very difficult to find what you're really going to do in life forever. It's like a marriage to a lifestyle, a career. And I think that maybe, okay, you don't have your finances together. You can get married if at least you found your vector, you found your direction. You know, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a cardiologist, whatever it is. You know, I don't recommend it, but you want to be you want to be a real estate agent. You started something, things are going all right. You've been in it for a year and a half or two. You know this is what you like, and you know that you can succeed in it, and you know that you're willing to put in the effort. Then you can get married. But if you do that before and you have absolutely no idea where you're going, you're going to have a tougher time finding it while being married.
Without question. So I completely agree. And I hear where you're coming from. With that said, I still, for me, need to be at a certain foundational level. And the reason why I'm so confident about that is because I know in my mind, and this is part of lying to yourself, even though I know that God could just say, fuck you, you're not closing a deal for another 8 months. I think that's highly, highly unlikely. And for that reason, I trust the process. I trust God. I trust the process that I'm going to get to where I want to be, because thank God I can say that almost everything up until now that I've set out to accomplish, I've accomplished. On the smaller scale, there's huge goals that I want to accomplish. Tons of things I haven't accomplished, but there are many, many things I have that I've wanted to. And that's why I just need to continue on that path. And the best thing, and the most beautiful thing is I really have found two things that I love doing. This baby and selling property. Sales is where I'm at, dude. Yeah. And this, I wish I started this sooner. I have no regrets. Thank God I did it when I did. But I mean, this isn't even, it's not a job. It's not a job. I love it.
Of course.
I love it. And God willing, I'll make money doing it. I mean,
you meet all types of people.
Oh, I've made connections. I've learned that every single person teaches me enormous. You're such a well-spoken, charismatic, eloquent guy.
Likewise.
And you very much deserve the compliment. Thank you, brother. And I can't even tell you how happy I am that I decided to do this.
Of course.
And I just, it's so me.
Of course.
So me.
Of course.
It encompasses who I am. It's wonderful.
This episode should be called The Art of Lying to Yourself, maybe. It
seems
like we always tie back to it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Honestly, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So this really got me thinking. I've never thought of it that way, by the way.
Yeah.
I've never put it into perspective like that.
I thought of it this morning when I was shaving. It's true. Like, I can't leave the beard. I mean, but
I'm very pro leaving the beard. You should leave the beard.
I know. I just. So what happened is I wanted to trim it.
By the way, I was very hurt. I didn't admit it, but I was hurt because usually I'm the guy that gets the beard compliments, and when Eden got it, I was like, damn, because I trimmed my beard that day.
You have a sick beard.
You don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that.
I don't have to. I do it by choice. I'm a free man.
You don't have to do
that. But you do have a sick beard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I totally just asked for a compliment. But anyway, I'm used to people being like, bro, sick beard, blah, blah, blah. And when you were like, yo, Eden, sick beard, I was like, but what about me, bro?
You see what I did? That's terrible.
Right?
You give a compliment.
No. Yeah. But it was, because my beard is like one of my like proud how Help me out here with
Assets.
the vocabulary, so to speak.
I think it's a good asset to have.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It does you well. It does you well
Yeah.
if you keep it kempt.
Yeah.
So I hear where you're coming from. I mean, for me, it's funny though because you'll have both sides. And I recently interviewed Kobe Karp. Maybe you've heard of him. He's the architect.
Entrepreneur.
He's he's the architect of South Florida, and he's done projects in many countries.
Yeah.
Israeli-born guy originally, and we had a conversation, and he told me, he said, in his opinion, get your certain things in order before you settle down. You got your whole life ahead of you. And it's, again, very easily argued concept, because you can argue, well, if you get married at 30, you could have been married at 20, and you could have, those are 10 years you could have had children, and yada, yada. Where I end off with this point is, anything you do, you're always going to have 50 opinions. You're going to have to make a decision for yourself at the end of the day. And that comes with confidence, self-confidence, and maturity, to know where you're not going to sit there and listen to every single person's opinion before you decide to do something. There are certain things that I feel absolutely certain in, I go and just do them. And then there are other things where I want to hear what a few people have to say, especially from someone who's experienced something I haven't, which is marriage and success, and massive success. I don't know how his marriage is, and it's none of my business, but I very much resonate with the idea of have certain things in order before you go and do that. And for me, that's what will make me happy. At least that's what I think. That's what I'm lying to myself about.
Of course.
But that to me is, I've thought about it for a long time, and to me because once you get into marriage, like for instance with real estate, right? I got into real estate at 20, almost 26, or was it 26? 26. Oh, 26 and change. I had the ability to go and take the risk of not having a guaranteed amount of money coming in. Whereas if I was married with a kid or two, I could still take that risk. You have people who do, but you have mouths to feed other than your own. You can't afford to take the same risks. And there are friends of mine that may want to go into real estate, may want to try one of these commission-based jobs, but there's a fear where if I don't provide, not only may I be out of a marriage, but my kids need to be fed. Like this is a non-negotiable. Whereas for me, if worst case scenario, I sleep on a friend's couch, I stay by family, I figure it out. I only have myself to worry about, right? I can't go through life like that forever, because I will be very unhappy without a family. I think a family is one of the most beautiful things you can have. But at the same time, I want to be able to do what I got to do for them. It doesn't mean I have to be a millionaire going into it, but for me, there needs to be a certain foundation, and that's really what it is for me.
Yeah, that whole fairy tale thing of, you find the one, and you can, in French we say vivre d'amour et d'eau fraîche. It means you live with love and fresh water. You don't need anything else. It's like this romantic idea that you don't need anything other than love and a bit of water to drink. But that's no longer true, right? If you want to confront the realities of life, I hear what you're saying 100%.
That's how I look at it, man. I real quick, I love what you're saying. People, they're so, because I think they have it easier maybe as they grow up, and they find a woman they love, or find a man they love, and they're in this honeymoon phase. And when they snap out of the honeymoon phase, they realize, oh, okay, it's not all hot air balloons and skiing. I'm actually going to have to sit in an office and do some boring shit today. And I'm going to have to do that for years. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have to do a lot of shit I don't enjoy. My wife is going to give me a lot of shit. She's going to nag me, even if I'm doing so many things, and vice versa. And you realize that it's a real fucking job.
It's the movies, man.
Job,
it's the movies.
The movies fuck it up.
It's the movies. We've been watching this
rom-coms,
shit since we're 4 years old, and like girls have been telling us like, "No, I want a guy who's really nice and caring, and like then they depict this guy who's like super nice, and then like she's with this like super badass guy, who has like his shit together. Then the other one's like, he's like nice and he has little things, and like she doesn't really love him, but he's like, no, but I'm gonna show you how nice I am, and you're just gonna like me just with that. And then she kind of like goes to the airport, and he's like, love was here all along. He goes in the taxi.
I was literally about to say the airport. She's about to leave and never see him again, and he runs to the airport,
like, but
stops her.
I love you. And she's like, forget Brad, who has his shit together. I'm just gonna go with Mr. Nice Guy. And then they kiss, end of the movie.
Right.
but they're fucking divorcing in 4 months, right? Because their relationship has no foundation at all. It's just he has one move. It's I took a taxi and went to the airport. And the problem is they never show you, they never make a second part of that movie, right?
Never.
You know, All About Steve. There's no All About Steve 2 where after they kiss in the hot air balloon, like you said, or whatever, where does this relationship go when they have to wake up in the morning with smelly breath? You know, and it's like, oh, you make the coffee. No, I make the coffee every morning and all that shit. And you pay the bills. No, you pay the...
They should make a movie like this, by the way.
It would suck. Nobody would watch it because it's too real, man.
It's too real. That's so true, bro.
It's too real. Always hide lies in some truth, right? And this is what makes it interesting.
This is so valid.
They make it look real. It's all there. But there's
because people need the escape. If it's too real, where's the escape?
Yeah, it would suck.
It's like, oh, this is actually how my life really is.
Yeah, it's like he's making the coffee.
I need to
change the water. Things like the boxer's like scratching his butt, and I don't know. It's like, you know, Matthew McConaughey can't scratch his butt. He can't.
He can't. He's not allowed to. He's too. Yeah.
No, he's like perfect. You know, it can't happen.
Dude. This is so spot on. It's incredible. Yeah, because we have to escape reality by watching a rom-com with a beautiful girl in a sundress and this guy with a suit, and they're dancing in the rain. They're putting shampoo in each other, and everything's fantastic. He gives her flowers every week. He never forgets her birthday or the anniversary. Everything's perfect.
Exactly. And the idea that being the nice guy, which is the easiest thing in the world, by the way, it's so easy to be nice. Being the nice guy will get you everything you want, and it's just not true. Jordan Peterson is a big...
I love Jordan Peterson.
He's huge on that.
You can tell me all
disagreeability, right? How disagreeable you are is gonna.
I've learned that, dude, and I've learned that quite honestly by interacting with many women in my 28 years. Yeah. And my conclusion very strongly is a woman, and this is what I've experienced, a woman will very much... I think a woman wants a good guy, not a nice guy necessarily. Mm-hmm. And I'll explain the difference, and I feel like you totally already understand me, is... They are attracted to you, of course, treating them with respect and being good to them, but they don't want you to be a doormat. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Jordan Peterson always says, my favorite thing is women want a dangerous man. They want a man who at any given moment can do some very, very harmful things. And hopefully, of course, not to her, but to other men or to society, but he contains it. And a woman knows that's a man who can protect them, who can provide for them, who's going to hunt and go after it. But at the end of the day, has enough self-control. Mm. And the reason why that's so attractive, aside from the fact that that's what constitutes manliness, is that they love the idea of taming a man as opposed to just finding some soft little nerdy guy where there's nothing to it.
You don't make men safe by making them weak. In fact, they're much more dangerous when they're weak because they'll stab you in the back when they get the chance. Or take advantage of you when they get the chance. You make men safe, let's say, by making them strong and then by making sure that they're disciplined. As Jung makes it very clear that, see, he was very interested in the barriers to enlightenment. Because if there's such a thing as being enlightened, let's say, then why isn't everyone enlightened? If it's just a matter of taking the glorious route and following your bliss, let's say, it's like, well, that sounds pretty easy. Why isn't everyone enlightened? But Jung's thinking isn't like that at all. You know, he believed that in order to transform your personality, that first of all you had to be disciplined, that's for sure, but you also had to integrate that part of you that was terrible and capable of breaking rules and make it part of you. And so then, and I really like that idea.
Everything she says goes. Everything she wants, he does. There's no, sweetie, we're not doing that. That's not okay. Mm-hmm. You were disrespectful. And it goes both ways, obviously. But as guys, we're talking about what Jordan Peterson talks about. And like, for instance, there have been women that I've spoken to, and I'm a very blunt guy. I'm from New York. I was in the Israeli army. I've dealt with Israelis. I've just built that thick skin where I say what's on my mind.
I didn't know you were from New York, but I knew you were from New York, by the way. You never told me, but I just knew.
You just knew.
Yeah.
So I'm very blunt, and I find that that's actually why, thank God, I create such real relationships with people, is because I'm so honest. Mm-hmm. And there are some women, especially in Florida, that aren't as used to that, because people in Florida are more passive-aggressive as a whole. Yeah, they're not as direct. People from New York are a lot more, and it's a generalization. You'll definitely meet direct Floridians, but I'll say certain things. If a woman will ask me a question, and I'll answer it, and they think it's just it's very brash, like it's very straightforward. But at the end of the day, I end up having good relationships with them because they know what you see is what you get. Like, if they ask me if I think the dress is ugly, and I think it's fucking ugly, I'm not going to say, that's fucking ugly, you look like crap. But I'll say, yeah, I'm not really such a fan of it. Versus most guys that are dying to talk to this girl, that will do everything they can possible to have a second with her, will completely bullshit her and not do her any favors, but they think that that's the way to do it. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is maybe those guys, the girl might be upset at me and maybe not want to talk to me for a bit. That nice guy, she'll soon realize, is completely full of crap, and she'll end up not coming back because I don't care one way or another, but maybe I'll bump into her somewhere or we'll start talking again or whatever it is. She'll realize that, you know what, at the end of the day, he might have said some things I didn't love to hear, but I know that if he doesn't like the dress, he doesn't like the dress. If he likes the dress, he likes the dress. And whether she's okay with that or not, that's what I'm being true to me.
Yeah.
And ultimately, ironically, or not so ironically, that's how you build lasting relationships. Because at the end of the day, as much as a lot of women say they don't want the truth, well, they say they want the truth, sometimes they don't, but with those sorts of things, they very much appreciate the straightforward guy, because at the end of the day, they know that they're getting reality. That's what I think.
Yet you're fighting the urge to be very agreeable when you say, I don't like the dress. I don't know if that, I'm going to ask you, is that a natural instinct that you have? Or do you kind of do the whole balance sheet in your head and you say, well, like, the truth is I want to be agreeable and I want to tell her the truth. I want to lie to her and be agreeable and say, oh my God, it's so pretty. You look amazing. And because it's going to up my chances, right?
Oh, well, so that also depends. If it's something that's not serious, if I'm already in a committed relationship with a woman, it really depends. If I feel that she really wants my opinion, and you also have to know your woman, right? You have to know if she can handle it or not. Mm-hmm. Some women have thicker skin than others. You have to you have to decide when it's worth shutting the fuck up or possibly lying a little bit. If she says she looks fat, you better believe I'm not going to say she looks fat. But some women can really handle it in terms of, if they're into fitness and they got a little out of it, especially if they had kids, these things happen. Of course, I'm not going to call my wife fat. But if I know she's the kind of woman that can hear criticism and say, okay, you know what, I hear you, then I'll say, well, sweetie, I sure as hell don't think you're fat, and you're beautiful, and I love you just the way you are. But do you want me to be honest? Or, and that's hard to do. A lot of women wouldn't take that very well. But I think a woman who I have a good relationship with will be like, no, I really want your honest feelings about that. And I'd say, well, I mean, you were working out a lot more a couple of months ago, and again, of course, I love you the way you are. But if this is something you feel that you should do, then yeah, I mean, working out probably wouldn't, it'd probably make you happy. It would be good, and I'm still going to the gym. You're welcome to come with me and all that. And I think that would be the way I would handle it, as opposed to saying, nah, don't worry about it, yada. Because how am I doing her any favors there? But then there's the opposite, where I can be like, hey, you really put on a lot of weight. You look like crap. And there are men that do shit like that. Yeah.
That's kind of oppression, right? In a way. And
just
oppressing
absolutely.
Your
that's
partner.
That's just quite frankly cutting the corners here. That's just a piece. That's plain and simple a piece of shit.
Yeah.
There is no need for that.
Yeah.
You're just absolutely being a piece of garbage. And unfortunately, there are people like that.
Yeah.
But then there's also leading by example. If I am completely out of shape and don't go to the gym, I have no right whatsoever to make any claims to my wife.
Go on the treadmill,
right?
Eating like munchies.
And you have men like that, absolutely fat, completely out of shape, telling their wife to work out. Who do you think you are?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
But that's really that's my point here in terms of the whole the dance of, and it's a very difficult dance, and you're always, as a guy, gonna say the wrong things. It's gonna happen, especially when they just want you to listen and you try to solve the problem. That's the
classic
age old confusion of men and women and understanding each other.
Mars, men are from what is it?
Right,
the
book,
Venus, men are from,
something like that. Right, I had a feeling you were gonna bring that up.
Yeah, they discussed that.
That's the age old complication, and I've had these arguments with girls I've dated. My last ex. There's a famous video I'll show you after the podcast. I'm going to post it. It's called "The Nail in the Head." Maybe you've seen it. It's gotten like 22 million views on YouTube. You see two people on a couch, guy and a girl on a couch. They're a couple. The woman has a nail in her head. Okay, obviously it's not real, but the nail's in her head, and she's complaining to her boyfriend or husband about the searing pain she has in her head, and he's looking at her like she's out of her mind. He's like, well, you have a nail in your head. Like, if we took the nail out of your head, you probably wouldn't have any pain. And she's like, it's not about the nail. You don't understand. You're always trying to solve my problems. I just want you to listen. And the guy's like, I don't think that's what you need. I think what you need is to take the nail out of your head, right? And this is the old age problem. And even after this video, I still very much think you got to take the damn nail out of your head because we're men, right? But that's the lesson here. It's like, even if you think your wife's out of her mind and all she has to do is just go and repair the shoe or bring the car in to fix the AC, or, it's too hot in my car. Okay, well, your AC's not working, sweetheart. It's not, that's not the point. It's like, as much as we want to be logical, sometimes we have to be there to listen, because at the end of the day, even as men, there are some times where we just want to vent and not necessarily focus right now on solving the problem. I, for one, am much more of a person that likes the problem solved.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I just want to be done with the issue so I don't have to bitch about it. But hey.
I mean, first of all, I would say that's you have a lot of how do we say? I don't want to say the wrong words here. Your past experience in the IDF has shaped you to be very much of a problem solver. I mean, for sure. I haven't been to the army myself.
No question.
When I see people who've been to the army, I can tell the different type of personality that they have. It shapes you into somebody else. It does. And it seems like you become oriented towards solving problems quickly and efficiently. And it doesn't really matter how you kind of feel about it. You will feel good after, you said that you will feel good after solving the problem, and keeping the 587 problems on the back burner is not a solution, right?
Oh, it's the worst thing. That's why, that's my biggest issue, quite honestly. That's my biggest thing that I need to focus on with long-term relationships with women, honestly. And I'm as much as I'm a very good communicator, when I'm having a conversation that's very void of logic, it really frustrates me. And I don't think I'm alone here at all. But I think where other men are much more able to just say, I know, but this, but that, I can do that. I'm very capable of doing it. But to me, it's a massive waste of time. And it's very hard for me to, and I understand how important it is. And that's why I know that in order to keep a happy marriage and shalom bayit and peace in the home, you need to do it and focus on it. But that's why Ben Shapiro saved me with this line. He said, when your wife comes home or you come home and she wants to talk to you, ask her, is this the conversation where you want me to help solve a problem or help you with a solution, or do you want me to just listen? And that, when I heard him say that, I said, dude, you probably saved my marriage without realizing. And he probably saved countless marriages by doing that. And that's what you have to do. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm sure there are times where I'm going to slip up and accidentally just blurt it like, but babe, all you got to do is that, and she yells and whatever. But it's staying calm. Even if she's upset, stay calm, keep yourself, whatever. There's so many things that, thank God, I've never cursed at anyone I've dated. I can't do that. Mm-hmm. I've never yelled. I've never yelled and screamed at somebody. I've raised my voice. I've been upset, but I've never slammed a door, threw something. God forbid, never laid my hand on a woman. And just those things is just the remaining calm, the understanding when to solve the problem and when to listen. These things are just elementary,
Of course.
Yeah, that's
the whole yelling and plate throwing is certainly not conducive to a healthy relationship.
I don't think so. I don't think that helps. No.
You demolish her, right? She's going to stop trusting you, and then you're just.
You want to be dangerous for other people, not her.
Of course.
You want her to feel that you're dangerous for the right reasons.
Of course.
Not dangerous to her, and that goes back to Jordan Peterson. Yeah. So, Mike, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. It's been a hell of a conversation.
It has been.
Yeah,
definitely.
Dude, I'm very glad we did this.
Yeah.
So, guys, make sure to subscribe, like, share. Obviously, check out my social media. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the audio platforms that are available to watch and stream. And until next time.
Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely, bro.